Hello again, my dudes. This is Karima with another build video for Wulong Fallen Dynasty. This time with one of the funniest builds I've played so far, because it's quite different from the usual melee focused build that you can get whilst playing Wulong. Most people will be focusing on using a sword, dual swords, dual armored spears, polyarms, whatever. This build, yes, I do have a sword, and yes, I do have a bow, but I don't really use them much. So basically, this is the Poison Taoist build. Let's go on to the build itself. So in this case, we are using the full set of the Instigator of Evil, which composes the Sword of You the Great, Evil Taoist headpiece, cloak, bracelets, and leglets. So, what does this set give you? Spirit gain from deflecting, 2.8%, which is not a lot, but it does help, because, as I said, we'll not be using the sword much, but we do need to get deflecting going to avoid getting melee damage done to us. It gives us an increase in elemental damage of 3%. It also gives us this elemental damage will be on anything from lightning, toxic, whatever. So this increase will help as well. It gives us with the third piece damage amplification on enemy upon wizarding spell, which we do tend to use quite a lot. So every time we hit an enemy with a wizarding spell, we'll have an increased damage output, and it also gives us an 8.3% wizardry spell damage. For this build, because it's focused on poison, as I'm going to demonstrate, everything we are running has toxic attack power or toxic damage boost. So in this case, we are using the Sword of You the Great with the Starlight Blade and the Swift Lightning martial arts, which, as I said, we don't really use that much, especially the Starlight Blade. I don't really use that at all, and I will demonstrate why, because this is what it does. Yeah, it's quite cute, yeah, I give you that, but it doesn't do a lot of damage. When I do use the martial arts, I use the Swift Lightning, which is this kind of poke forward, which does quite a lot of stun damage as well. It does get that spirit quite high on the enemies, especially when deflecting and then going for one of these and one of these. So you deflect, triangle, and then we have martial art with the triangle. So it does quite a lot of stun. It tends to stun most people when playing PvP. Back to the equipment. Right, on the sword, we finally, after 10 hours of non-stop farming for a toxin enchant weapon, I finally got my hands on one. So I managed to salvage it, get the enchant, and I used it on this sword. As you can see, all my gear, all my set pieces are 5 stars, except for the bow. The bow is here just for that little bit of special effects that it will give you just by having it equipped. As you can see, I'm using nothing on the second ranged weapon because I only need the benefit you get from this. It will only be on whatever is equipped down there. As you see, when I swap, you only get the benefit of whatever is equipped. So I have the bow equipped just so I can get the benefit, but the second weapon is useless because it will give you nothing unless it is equipped at the time. Back to the sword. So I'm using Toxin Enchant, which gives us plus 17 enchant, Toxin Enchant damage. I'm using Toxin Attack Power, plus 19, Enemy Status Effect Accumulation of 5.8%, and Spirit Gain. I could easily replace the Spirit Gain, and I'm considering doing so, but because, as I said, we are using a lot of wizardry spells, you do tend to run out of spirit quite quickly. So the idea of getting some spirit gain here is that you will be gaining a bit more spirit when deflecting, because this spirit gain will be from everything, from deflecting, from attacking. It's only 2.3%, it's not massive, but it does help along the line. For our secondary weapon, I'm using Evan's Reliance. I don't really use it, it's just here in case, because it does lightning, it's lightning enchanted, and lightning does more damage to a poisoned enemy, and poison toxic will do more damage to a lightning inflicted enemy. So if I do feel like swapping in between, which I don't do very often, but in case I do, there is the benefit there. These also have spirit gain from, this one has spirit gain from normal attacks 2.7, this one has spirit gain 2.3. For the remaining of the set, now as I said, the bow is here simply for the special effects, so we got the damage dealt 2.1%, which I'm considering changing, but I'm still in the testing phase. So far I can't complain, it's been working well. It's got toxin attack power plus 17, negative effect duration on enemies 2.6%, enemy status effect accumulation 5.2%. So that one plus this one, you already got enemy status effect accumulation of 11% just on these two. But then moving forward for the set, as you can see, all my pieces have the exact same special effects on them. They have everything exactly the same. So we've got toxin attack power plus 19 on all of them, damage to enemies with poison 3.3%, which varies only on the chest. It does 3.4 instead of 3.3, but the idea is the same. Poison accumulation on enemies, again 8.3, 7.9, 8.2, 8.1. So everything put together, we have a poison accumulation of 8.3, 7.9, 8.2, 8.1. We got a massive amount of poison accumulation on enemies. This means that every time we hit enemies with toxic, they get instantly poisoned. No matter what you throw at them, they are immediately poisoned. And because we do more damage to enemies with poison, that little tick 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 tends to do a lot of damage. Negative effect duration on enemies, we also got 2.8%, 2.9, 2.9, 2.9. Now, again, 2.6 from here, and the sword doesn't have it. But if you put all these 2.6, 2.8, 2.9, 2.9, 2.9 all together, we have a little bit more than 13% going on. So it does help quite a lot. And then we have Metal Face Spell Spirit Consumption of minus 2.5, 2.4, 2.3, and 2.4, just to reduce the cost of our wizardry spells, considering we are mostly using poison spells which come from the metal phase. For the accessories, again, we cannot really change anything on these, but I'm using whatever I found that was useful for this build. In this case, it's mostly related to wizardry spell damage, enemy status effect accumulation, metal phase spell spirit consumption, the flame resistant and the enemy detection. Well, I can't really do anything about those. They come with this accessory and they don't really get in the way. At least the three main ones are there. For this case, ammo held max +1 doesn't really do much. Poison accumulation in this case is for us. We get minus 5.9% accumulation onto us. But then we have wizardry spell spirit consumption of minus 2%. Again, elemental damage plus 2.9%, and haste upon deflection, and that is actually the main reason why I have this, is when I deflect, I get an increase on my speed so I can move away from my enemies a bit faster. In case I'm in a tight situation or kind of cornered, it does help to be able to escape. To the build itself, talking about our virtues, we got 59 on the wood virtue, and metal virtue of 60. We got fire virtue 8, and the reason why we got the fire virtue 8 is simply so we can use the wizardry spell that allows us a little bit of boost increase, which in this case is the amplified damage. For a certain period of time, increases both the damage you deal to enemies and the damage you receive from them. So yes, if they hit us, it's going to hurt, especially because the armor set we are using is a light armor. So when I get hit, I tend to lose quite a lot to take quite a lot of damage. That is the number one reason why when it comes to the virtues, I have 59 on wood, because we need a lot of HP. That is the number one reason. But also, if you take a look at the sword we are using, it scales A+ with the metal virtue and A- with wood. So it does give us quite a nice attack power of nearly 600. So it does work both ways. It helps us on both things, because we have such little defense. Having a higher HP bar and a bit of higher damage output helps kind of balance the scales. For the metal virtue, we got 60, as I said, because this is mostly focused on using poison wizardry spells, and spirit consumption with 60 metal virtue gets it that the wizardry spells have a 67.5% cost instead of the normal 100%. As you can see, the equipment weight, I have agility A, so this does allow us to escape around. So if we get cornered, it's quite easy to move around and escape from a tight situation. As you can see, my spirit doesn't go up that much. When I am deflecting, yes, it goes up, but when I'm juggling around, as you can see, it doesn't cost any spirit because we got agility A, so we can go around doing this all day. The only thing is, as long as I continue to do this, the spirit bar does not go down. But on the other hand, as you can see, as I'm doing this, it doesn't go up, and that is actually fantastic, especially when playing PvP. If I'm in a tight corner, I can simply disappear and go to get my own space, find my way around a tight situation and get to safety, so I can do more poison. So basically, this is the build. Just want to focus one last thing before I give you an example of how it works in PvE. When it comes to those wizardry spells, I tried most of the poison spells available, both in PvE and PvP. And then I decided to come up with the setup that works great on both worlds. So I don't like to be changing around. I don't like to change, okay, I'm doing PvE, I'm going to use these spells. I'm doing PvP, I'm going to change to these other spells. I don't like doing that much. When I set up the build, I like to stay consistent so I don't have to change things around, because that leads to mistakes. That leads that you are playing PvE for a long time, and then you have to change the spells, you forget about it, you do an invasion, and you end up getting in trouble because you've got the wrong spells set up. So I keep it as it is, and the spells I'm currently using is Venom Snare, which is the highest cost, and it is the master, the center of attention of this build. So basically, it releases a curse bolt to the front that will form a poison fog around the enemy it hits. The fog will cause damage over time to enemies touching it. So this will poison not only the target that it actually hits, but every other target that is around the area of impact, which is very important if you are playing PvP and you invade a player who is playing with two NPCs, for example. You hit one of the NPCs, and as you probably know by now, they tend to stick to each other. They are right next to each other, so if you hit one of them, the other one will most likely get poisoned as well. So you kill two birds with one stone, as they say. the Life Wither, I use this because it will increase the damage that the enemies will receive for a period of time. Because we also get that amount of status duration on the enemies, everything we apply that is a certain period of time effect will last a bit longer. So when we play both PvE and PvP, the idea here is to use Amplify Damage to boost our damage, and then we use Life Wither to boost the damage that the enemies will take, and then we use Venomous Discharge because it will leave a pool of poison around them, which will force them to move around. If they stay there, they will be taking damage, and then we'll use Venom Snare. And this will just be the centerpiece of the action. We will continue to then rotate through the spells over and over again. Amplify Damage, Life Wither, Venomous Discharge, Venom Snare. And we go, keep repeating the cycle, go and on and on and on it goes. Now, keep in mind, if you run out of spirit, you can always approach the enemy, try to trap him into attacking you, so you can get a few deflects going on, which will not only give you your spirit back, but it will also give you the haste boost from deflections. Now, last but not least, the sword is there for a reason. If I'm completely full, I will use the sword for a short period of time, especially when playing PvE, so I can get my spirit back up. But the best thing to do in this case is to demonstrate how the build works, and I like to use the Scarlet Crystal on the Rising Dragon New Game Plus difficulty to demonstrate what the idea is. So we're gonna do just a small demo of how to use it in PvE, and then I'll do a little bit of a showcase of the funniest invasion so far when using this in PvP. So we use that, we use this, and then here goes the snare. And then we'll just keep applying the snare as we go. You missed. Ooh, it does a lot of damage, so keep moving. Get that poison going. Ooh, it stunned me. Get that deflect going. Return the favor. You can see the poison ticking. 61, 85, 91. And she's dead. So basically, yes, as you saw, the build works great. You get a lot of damage going on constantly with the poisoning. The pool keeps them around, so they don't get close to you that much. The amplification helps with the ticks. As you saw, I did use the weapon, as I said, because this is PvE, and if you go around using the weapon here and there to get a bit of spirit back so you can cast spells again, it does help on the long run. But where this build has been providing me tremendous fun, and I can't stress enough how OP the poison feels in PvP, is the best thing to do is actually demonstrate, which I'm going to do right now. But before I do so, and if you made it this far into the video, please do consider leaving your subscription. It tremendously helped the channel grow. I'm hoping to get to 2.5 thousand subscribers so I can do another giveaway on the channel. So if you want to help me achieve that goal, that would be perfect. and thank you so much for everybody's support so far. But on to the PvP scenarios, and I'll see you at the end of those. Now on to the PvP side of things. This was one of the latest invasions I've managed to complete. So as I got to this guy, I could see he was having at least one NPC, and then I also managed to make a fool of myself trying to jump onto this platform. But hey, I see him there, and then I think, okay, he's taking him out with his crossbow, that's fine. Let me get closer, try to get some poison going on there. As you can see on the wizardry spells, because he only has reached morale 8 so far, 2 of my wizardry spells are not available, so I can basically only cast the little poison bubbles, which is okay. It's not an ideal scenario, but it does allow to apply some pressure. But when this is the case, this means that I might end up having to use my sword as well, to try to keep the pressure going and try to get them to attack me as well. But in this case, I'm thinking, oh, okay, there's 3 of them. I try to take the NPC first, get rid of him, and then I see they are fighting there, and I think, okay, I'll go around and try to get some pools of poison going. I boost up my damage, and then I just spread some poison around, try to put the pressure on them. He does manage to deflect my attack, which is not ideal, but I mean, I cannot be the only person able to deflect stuff around here. I see he goes for the NPC. I try to prevent it, but unfortunately I was stopped in my tracks by the spear guy. And then I see he comes, and I managed to deflect every single hit because I was very low on HP. I could actually have died there, but well done for managing to deflect everything. He comes for the kill. Unfortunately, I didn't realize his spirit was quite high, and I made the mistake of counter-attacking instead of going for the fatal strike. But in this case, I don't make the same mistake twice. I managed to counter, stun him, and go for the fatal strike. Here the guy manages to actually fatal strike me. He applies some pressure, but because I can escape till the end of time, I just go around, recompose myself. I know he's going to try to revive, so I keep around the fallen NPC, get some pools of poison going to apply the pressure that if he does try to get him up, he will be doing so at the cost of his life. And I managed to succeed victorious, even in a 3 versus 1 situation, which was not easy, especially when it's 1 plus 2 NPCs, it's easy. Well, in this case, I look around, I invade this guy, couldn't find him straight away, but this was actually a very good invasion because, again, it's 3 versus me, and I managed to dispatch the NPCs quite quickly. I'm just checking if the guy has made it this far. It seems to be the case. All the enemies around this area are killed, so this means he must be in that tunnel, I would think. Yeah, the flag is there, so I go back, and that's when I see them. And I think, okay, NPCs together, perfect. I throw that, I both get the poison going on, as you can see. Cao Cao goes down straight away. Now it's just a matter of giving this time the same treatment. He falls, I deflect, and I manage to run to Cao Cao to prevent the player from reviving him. Apply some pressure, but he did manage to deflect, but I'm pretty sure you notice he is already poisoned because he got too close to Cao Cao and got poisoned. So yeah, this is how much damage you get from the poison. It's insane in PvP. It's insane. In this occasion, I invade this guy. I realize he's got the NPCs here, so I'm going to put some pressure on the NPCs, try to get both of them down straight away, which I managed to do with the help of all the mobs that are going around. And then I realize, oh, hello, I get him poisoned, and he's dead. Probably one of my fastest invasions so far. Yes, he was surrounded by a lot of enemies. I just helped. In this case,
Perfect. They are all here. There's a lot going on. Pools of poison for everybody. Pools of poison for everybody. You can see all these ticks are the poison taking effect. I continue to apply the pressure. He revives the other guy, but I managed to kill him with the poison. This one deflects the poison, but he makes the mistake of going back into the pool of poison, which is not ideal. So basically all the players there are getting hit by the amount of poison going out. Yeah, it's insane. It's just insane. I get damage here, get a bit trapped, but there you go, job done. The other guy was down for too long, and I take the victory. Unfortunately, I didn't kill everyone. In this case, as I show up, I realize, oh my god, they are all around me already. And I think to myself, okay, this is 3 versus me. But then I realize, okay, there's another invader there. In this case, I'm just going to spread poison everywhere. And this one is the first one to go. So one enemy is down. He's in an awkward place. He's outside the battlefield. I get this one poisoned as well, which helps to apply the pressure on everybody. And then we start distributing pools of poison. Unfortunately, they don't have that big of a reach, but they do poison everything. So I apply the pressure. I see that he's only blocking. So if he's only blocking, he's eventually died to the poison. All I have to do is keep applying the pressure, keep getting with those pools and those massive poison. See, he's continuing to have to heal. I get the other one down. I just have to keep this under control. I see the other invader is keeping them in check. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to get that guy prevented from resurrecting this one. But I try to call them to a more 1v1 scenario, because they are both attacking that invader as well. I see this one is trying to res as well, so I get the poison on the one that is down. This one approaches, he gets poisoned, he cannot bring him up, and he's down. This one comes, makes the same mistake, he gets poisoned, and he kills himself, basically. I didn't even have to finish him. And now for the next one. This was actually quite a good one as well, because it was 2 versus 2. So they are applying pressure with fire and poison as well. So you can see that guy is also using poison. He's actually going to be able to poison me because I did deflect the hit. But you have to remember that even when you deflect it, you get poisoned. So I try to get myself away from the other invader so I don't poison him. But by that time I do that, he's actually already down. So in this case, I try to rethink my strategy. I can see that they are both occupied by the little mob, so I am going to try to resurrect this guy. So that's what I'm going to do. Resurrect him from a safe distance. He is back on his feet. We are back on 2 versus 2. Apply some pressure. Try to get my spirit back down. Apply some bubbles. Apply a bit more just to prevent them from coming up the stairs. So you can see they are both taking poison damage. They are both poisoned. And then I realize this one is taking significant more amounts of damage from the poison. So my enemy is my co-invader is also using poison, as you can see. I'm not the only one. We are both casting poison at this guy, and yes, he is deflecting, but as I just said, even when you deflect this, you always get poisoned. So it doesn't do him any good, and we end up victorious on a 2 versus 2 situation because we were both using poison together. And on to the next one. In this case I play as the boss of this battlefield, as I have demonstrated in my previous Cao Cao build video, doing the same. This case is a player with 2 NPCs. My strategy here is to try to get rid of the NPCs straight away, while the player is distracted with the other invader guy, unfortunately, he goes down too quick, and I end up fighting them all by myself. So I change my strategy. I'm going to focus on single target hits instead of trying to go for them all at the same time. But I will also be focused on getting rid of the actual player, because if I manage to get him down, it doesn't really matter what happens to the NPCs. So I go around getting myself into a safe distance so I can cast my poison. Because I'm constantly high on spirit here, because of having to run away and not being able to deflect, because it's a lot of deflections to be taking on. It's easy to deflect one or two, but having three hitting you at the same time makes deflecting quite complicated. But you can see all those poison ticks, 67 damage per second, which is quite significant in PvP, especially considering that my poisoning effect lasts for quite a long time. I managed to get him down with another shot, and he dies. He probably didn't realize he was losing HP to the poison, and I am victorious. On to the next one. I end up invading in the middle of all the action. It's a player with two NPCs. I put the poison bubble straight away. I managed to hit him with the main poisonous thing. He gets poisoned. I deflect and I backstab. He is now poisoned. You can see the little ticks, and I finish the job with a burst. And that was a quick one as well. That's how powerful a poison build can be if used correctly. Now, in this case, it did take me a little bit to find the actual player that I invaded, but this is actually a good demonstration of how much damage the poison can actually do if you are fully buffed, which I am going to achieve when fighting this guy. Unfortunately, I couldn't spot him straight away. I thought, okay, where is he? I tried to look around, couldn't see him, so I go back because he had opened his door. He must have made it this far. I check this way, I don't see him. I jump to this side, I don't see him either. So I jump down, trying to find him still. I'm thinking maybe he's by the flag, so I'm going to check the flag. Sometimes when you invade in this location, they like to hide in little corners. So he's not by the flag, he's not down there. All enemies around this area have been killed, so he must have either jumped down, or he was probably hiding on the other side where the chest was, and I must have missed him. So I go back down, have another look around, and this is when I see him. Hello. We probably must have just been mistaken on each other's location. I managed to jump to this side, apply some pressure with the sword, and then put some pressure with the poison on both NPCs. You can see they are both ticking, but only at 16 damage each. And now 2, 16, 16, which is not a lot because I did cast it unbuffed. So I go with trying to get them further poisoned. And then he runs to me. You can see his spirit bar is quite high, so he cannot really rush to me or he will get deflected and end up getting a fatal blow. I managed to dispatch the first one. I retreat to where the others are. I keep the pressure by throwing some bubbles around this area, and next thing I know, he's running away from me and from the big ass monster that is going for him as well. The monster is running so fast that he's actually pushing me forward, which helped me close the gap a little bit. I keep up the chase, keep applying the pressure. He knows he's in trouble, so he finally stops. I get a deflect straight away, I get a backstab, and I'm gonna get him poisoned. Boom. There you go. Take a look at that damage. 94, 94, 94. It's now 160, and it's too much damage. Even with the healing, you cannot cope with 160 damage per second from so much poisoning. Now, in this case, I don't really like this area because it can be quite the maze. So I'm trying to locate him. I cannot see him straight away, but as I jumped down, I thought I saw him on the other side of this wall, and it was the case. So I buff up my damage. I attack the NPCs straight away with a pool of poison. Apply the pressure. First one is down. The second one is about to go. I buff myself again. Keep that poison going. Keep that poison pool again. Unfortunately, I didn't get the NPC poison straight away. I do get a little bit of damage here. I get myself cornered, which is terrible. But he made the mistake of running too far from me. So by the time the NPCs could have pretty much finished me off, they retreated, which gave me a massive advantage here. Now it's 1v1, and take a look of how much damage this is going to hit. He's now taking little bits of damage here and there from the poisoning. I do apply the pressure. I get a deflect here. Get some damage going. Get that debuff, but he managed to deflect. He nearly stunned me here. My spirit is too high. I can't be attacking this much, so I'm just applying a little bit of pressure, get that poison going on his feet. And then I apply the actual poison cloud on him, but he does manage to avoid it. I don't really know what he was trying to do here, but this is me, okay. He doesn't really know what to do, so I'm going to try to finish him off. I apply the poison, it hits, and he's dead. So yeah, ultimately speaking, when the poison does hit, it's great. In this case, I end up invading here. It's me against a player with an NPC, 2 NPCs actually. In this case, I retreat here because I could see he was using wizardry spells as well, and in this case I want to have something in the way working as an obstacle, and these pillars here help with that. So he comes with his little snowballs. I get rid of both NPCs. He tries to run away, but by then it's already too late because most of the mobs are aggroed. He has nowhere to run. I try to corner him. I apply the pressure, trying to do the buff. He does manage to scare me away. The debuff didn't land, but his spirit is completely full. I try to cast the debuff again, but I miss. And then that's when he gets stunned. I apply the poison, and look at that much damage. 120 per second. There's nothing he can do. Once that damage gets going and you are fully poisoned, it's a lot of damage per second. Now, one more. In this case, I'm invading in the boat area, which I do hate. I, as usual, go check the bird. I always check the bird first when I invade on this map, just to make sure that he hasn't made it this far. I can see he has, because the door is open, and if the door is open and that flag is there, which it is, he's probably down below. I take a quick peek. I don't see him straight away, but then there they are. I can see them hiding behind the houses. I get myself down, I buff up, I throw a debuff on him, but unfortunately the poison itself didn't hit. I see the NPCs are coming for me like crazy, so I drag them into the mob area. He does use his divine beast, which kind of puts me off, but I get the damage going with the poison. I try to get some distance here to not get myself trapped between all of the enemies. I take notice that one of the NPCs is down. I get to isolate this one, finish the job, and now it's just me and the player surrounded by mobs who are looking forward to kill him. I can now see that he got this guy back up, so I poisoned him. I do the deflect and I finish him off one more time. And now he's absolutely surrounded. I throw some poison around. I check that the NPCs are both gone. He has no way to resurrect them now. So I go for the kill. I apply the poison, and the NPCs and the mobs help me finish the job. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for making it this far. If you did, please consider subscribing. I'll see you next time. Cheerio!